Hi guys, you're welcome to my channel. So on our last tutorial, I was talking about generating a JSON file as our only to database, and today I'm going to be talking about writing a function to fetch our data from our generated database and then to use it with JavaScript and render it on our web pages. So today I will be talking specifically about fetching data from a JSON file in JavaScript. Firstly, I would be working with an asynchronous function. I would be doing an asynchronous programming. And an asynchronous programming is a technique that enables your program to start a potentially long-running task and still be able to be responsive to other events while that task runs. That is what an asynchronous function does. As we would be fetching our data from the internet, so what happens is it might take some time. So instead of our program to be on a pause whilst we await the data, the asynchronous function is going to give our program the ability to run other functions whilst we are waiting for our data to take place. And also I'll also be working with the await keyword. So the await keyword is usually used to unwrap promises by passing a promise as the expression. Using await pauses the execution of its surrounding asynchronous function until the promise is settled. That is, fulfilled or rejected, depending on the response that we're going to get. So the await pauses the execution of the surrounding asynchronous function until that promise is being settled, until our data is being settled. Other things are not going to work until data is settled, but our asynchronous function would permit every other function to perform their duties and tasks in our program. That's the good thing about the asynchronous function and the await keyword as we fetch data from the server. So right now I'll be getting down to my IDE and let's do some coding and see how we can write codes to fetch data from the server. So first, I have my JSON file here as my own little database that contains all my data that I would be using, and I have my HTML here, just a little code in there. But specifically, we will be working with our JavaScript file. So firstly, what you need to do is I'm gonna create a variable that is gonna answer a request URL, and then this request URL is gonna contain the URL of our generated JSON file. And then I'm gonna create an asynchronous function that would be called getProduct. Now, after creating the function, firstly, let's create a variable called response. Now, what this variable is going to do is it is going to hold the URL or the data we are going to get from our own database. So we are going to await the response as it is being fetched. Okay, and then after we have fetched our data and stored it in a variable called response, next, yes, let's use an if statement to determine what we are gonna do with our data. So I'm gonna have an if statement here that is gonna say if our response is okay. Now this is what you're gonna do. Create a variable that is called data. Now the variable called data is gonna await our response as our response is being converted to a JSON file. And now, next, I would want to print my data on the console. I would want to show it on the console. So I'm gonna console dot log data, and then next I'm gonna say, what if the response is not okay? Now if the response is not okay, then else what you do is this: you're gonna throw an error message. Now the error is gonna say that this is what my response is, and I'm gonna give it a status text. And then next, so my function could run when it is being needed, I need to call it. So I call my function, and there we go. So here I have created a variable, created a function, and the function has to do some work. Now let's get to our browser and see if this is actually gonna get to this URL and fetch us the data that we need. So I'm gonna open my live server, and here I have my HTML file. I go to my developer tool, and here I have my object that has come to me as a JSON file called electronics, coming in an array that has about 20 contents, all set to an index number, and I have my keys and my values, and that's it. I have my data fetched, and from here I have my data here on my machine, and then further I can use JavaScript to manipulate it, to render it the way I would want on my web page, and to style them. So guys, hope you've learned something great about using JavaScript to fetch data from the internet. Please hit the subscribe button so you can get updated on my next tutorial. I'm here to make you a better programmer and web developer. Thanks guys, thanks for watching.